A reporter found secret donor files belonging to Ted Cruz, and what was in them isn't the most shocking part of this story. Pablo Manriquez, who's an independent reporter in DC, found this cache of documents in the Senate on Tuesday. They contain the names, bios, and suggested monetary ask of several wealthy prospective donors he was planning to meet with over the next few days. And we have an example of one of those documents for you. In preparation for Cruz's meeting with Ambassador Ron Lauder, Cruz was instructed to thank Ambassador Lauder for taking the time to meet with you, tell the ambassador about the Ted Cruz Victory Fund, and ask if he will contribute $119,200 to your race. Ask Ambassador Lauder to talk to your team about outside efforts. Other files Manriquez found included the following asks. From Ambassador John Loeb, $119,000. Peter Thoren, who is the executive vice president of Access Industries, $59,600. Marvin Shankin, publisher of Wine Spectator and Cigar Aficionado, $34,600. Dr. Jay Riebel, Preferred Healthcare founder, $11,600. The documents also contain a dossier on each individual attending a group dinner at the swanky steakhouse Capitol Grill on Tuesday evening, and what each attendee, all representing different corporations and interest groups, had pledged to Cruz's campaign. You can see those documents here. But when Manriquez posted these documents on X, this is Elon Musk's purported free speech platform, they were swiftly taken down. If you were to go to these tweets now, it would look like this. Users were unable to see the documents, only a notice that the posts violated the X rules. Now, these rules state that you may not publish or post other people's private information, such as home, phone number, and address, without their express authorization and permission. Now, Musk has prided himself on being a free speech absolutist and claims X is a free speech platform. For instance, in January, he posted this. As promised, this platform will fight for your freedom to speak. We expect many such battles in the future. Freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. Without it, America ends. Cenk, what do you make of this? Do you think it was right? Because some of these documents had phone numbers for some of these prospective donors, so that's why they were likely taken down. What do you make of this?
So super easy way to fix this. So number one, I agree with the rule, don't put home phone numbers or addresses online. So great, no problem. But there's redacted versions now. So let's put up the redacted versions and see if he takes them down. I don't see any of the redacted versions on X. I don't know if they're taking them down or not. But like, Mr. Free Speech Absolutist, well, there's two issues there. One is, you see how absolutism doesn't make sense, and they don't believe it either. So they say, I'll put anything for free speech. And you're like, okay, how about phone numbers? No, not that. How about this? No, not that. How about Elon Musk's flight patterns? No, not that. Okay, all right, fine, no problem. I actually agree with a lot of that, but then you're not an absolutist. And in fact, what does that leave? The only thing that leaves is just hate speech. Like, hate speech is okay, everything else, you're not a free speech absolute. So then don't say it even has to do with free speech. Just say, I'm okay with hate speech and I want it on X. The other stuff we're not gonna allow anyway, right? So, okay, now number two is there some chance that they actually just don't want you to find out how the donors control all of our politicians? I mean, there doesn't get any more core free speech than that. It is exactly what politics is about. But the minute Elon Musk sees it, who he himself is a donor, he's like, no, not the identity of the donors. Oh, interesting. I mean, if ever you should be a free speech absolutist on anything, it should be about the donors that buy off our politicians. But somehow, golly gee, we just can't find a way to put that on X. So free speech, my ass. So that's the bottom line on X. But now we back to Cruz. Guys, do you get it? This is not like, oh, we got Ted Cruz, what a slime ball, haha, let's make fun of him. He's the one guy that does this. No, he's not anywhere near the worst. But this is very, very normal politics. Okay, you go beg this rich guy for money, you beg the other rich guy for money, and you beg, but you not only beg, remember, ROI, return on investment. I swear to God, I'll give you whatever you want. Oh, screw over the American taxpayer. They're not at this fancy steakhouse where they are they? They're not giving me $59,000 like you are they? I don't worry about it. And they all do this. Cruz actually made a pledge. I mean, you can't trust a thing that Cruz says, but he was one of 3 Republicans that did a pledge. Josh Hawley, who we'll see later in the program, actually doing something positive. Matt Gaetz and Ted Cruz saying that they won't take corporate PAC money. But that doesn't mean they're not taking any money. They're going around and begging rich people for money and promising them tax cuts anyway, right? Why do you think the Republicans are obsessed with tax cuts? Especially for like the richest people in the world and corporations. You think they think that that's the one way to help the average American is by giving billionaires tax cuts? No, because all their donors are billionaires and multimillionaires, that's why. Last thing on this is some of the numbers are over $100,000. Wait, I thought the limit was 6,000. All of these numbers are above 6,000. Supreme Court said in Citizens United, no, it's okay if they give to independent expenditure PACs, then this has no connection to the campaign and it couldn't possibly influence the politicians. But here are politicians telling donors, give a giant amount to my PAC, wink, 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 and then I'll do whatever you want. How does that not influence politicians? Citizens United is a joke, and this is how they get around it and just totally and utterly buy all of our politicians, almost all of them. And remember, if you're under the delusion that this is just the evil Republicans, no, the Democrats do the same exact thing.
Yeah, I think what these documents show us is something really important, and is how the sausage gets made. Like you're saying, there are limits. And what we can see on the FEC's website only goes up to a certain dollar amount, and it's pretty small, but we know there's more money going into these efforts. And this shows you exactly how much. If they were gonna donate individually, it'd be several $1,000s. But when he says, oh, talk to my team about outside efforts, what he means is talk to all these dark money groups that we don't have access to, there's no transparency for, and then it's not specifically him asking for that money. Those donors would then talk to his team, who he's not coordinating with, or people working on these super PACs who are supporting Cruz, but he's not working with. And then they dump 6-figure sums into these efforts, bypassing the law. It just flies in the face of any campaign transparency or ethics, or what it should mean to have a free and fair election system. So it's a loophole in the system that we can't look at. But now we can see just one example of how big some of these single donations can be. Of course, we see much larger donations from people like the Adelsons, but on the PAC thing, for someone to take this pledge, we now see he's begging corporate PACs in these documents for donations. Of course, no one trusted Ted Cruz, of course, but now we can see if you needed any further evidence that he's a liar, there you go. And one last thing, credit to Pablo Manriquez here, because there are probably many, I don't know how many, we can't quantify, but there are probably many reporters on the Hill, especially people who rely on access for their journalism, who, if they found those, probably would have given them back. They probably would have waited, given them back, or done nothing with it. That he published them, I think speaks to his character and his ability and ethics as a journalist. So credit to Pablo Manriquez for doing that, who then caught up with Ted Cruz today, asked him for a statement. Cruz, he said, do you have any comments on these documents? Cruz reportedly said, nah, smiled at him and drove off.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right, super last thing. Look guys, how is this not bribes? Like it's obviously bribes. He's like, give me $119,000. And what do you think the rest of that conversation is? And don't worry about it. You think the donor's gonna be like, don't worry about any of my interests. Let's just talk about sports. No, he's gonna tell him exactly what he wants in return. And everyone who is not a lunatic or a mainstream media reporter knows that. So most obviously. So AOC today being criticized in Washington because she said, you think it's just because people in Washington love Israel? No, people in Congress are afraid of AIPAC. And she pointed to the $14 million that AIPAC and allied groups are spending against Jamal Bowman. By the way, you should support Jamal Bowman in his upcoming race next week. If you live in New York and his district, please go out and vote. Because if they defeat him, they're gonna say, you see that? Anyone who dares to criticize Israel, we're gonna totally and utterly eliminate by spending a gargantuan $14 million in a race, right? And then they tell AOC, you're anti-Semitic for pointing out that they're spending $14 million. Well, what do you want me to do? Lie about it and say it was Norway? I mean, how do I get around? Are facts anti-Semitic? I mean, are they spending the goddamn money or aren't they? They spend more money in that race than everyone else combined. Everyone else combined. And so, guys, you hear us talking about AIPAC because we're not afraid. Mainstream media will, AIPAC, somebody's gonna call me anti-Semitic. Okay, are we also anti-pharma? No, big pharma, big oil, big sugar, big rando, they all buy our politicians, and you see it in the Ted Cruz files. They just go to them and go, yes, I can't get what you want me to do. In the case of AIPAC, it happens to be a foreign government that they're serving. But you think they're the only foreign government funneling money through American citizens? No, I've told you before, there's guys who go around going, I'm friend of India, I'm friend of Turkey, I'm friend of Albania. They're all they're all scum, trying to get money from different areas because politicians are just low morality servants. They're the manservants that we were talking about earlier in the show. And so their job is to go and take orders. They're like an extra waiter at those restaurants. Oh, we'll have a steak and I'll also have a tax cut and a deregulation of my industry. Hey, you writing, boy? And Ted's like, I'm writing, sir. I'm sorry, I'm writing. Okay, deregulate, and we'll call that freedom, right? It ain't AIPAC, it's all the lobbyists and the donors. And these guys are all bought. And we're the radicals for pointing out the most obvious thing in the world. Come on.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.